I was lost in a strange land, and I wondered if I had been there before. Not physically lost, I was a traveller, but spiritually lost. There's a confusion of life there, happy faces, chaotic cities, farmers, poverty, fields of rice, and pagodas. And I sought to understand the feelings I had. It all seemed familiar to me, but I was one step removed from the spiritual force of these people. I wanted to understand what they were doing and why I felt I had been there before. The pagodas are everywhere, in all shapes, sizes, and locations. Even when you find a remote mountain and look up, you'll find a pagoda has been built there too, no matter how difficult it would have been to get up there. And the big pagodas are covered in gold and topped with a golden, jewel-encrusted umbrella. Why do these people make them? Why do they value them so much that they would give so much effort and wealth to build them and time to visit them? There is nothing obvious in the meaning of a pagoda. They do not reveal a teaching by looking at them. They do not state their purpose or explain themselves with a soundbite. I only know that they are monuments built so that people will not forget the Buddha, the enlightened one, and his life. I had to visit many pagodas to understand this. At first I started to look at the beautiful paintings in the pavilions nearby. A religious album with snapshots of stories from the Buddha's life and past lives. From these I was able to understand that he had been born a prince and lived in luxury and enjoyed many pleasures and comforts of the senses. But he was someone who saw that pleasure and comfort do not remove us from the reality that we must all experience aging, sickness, and death. So he set out on a spiritual quest to find a way to escape from the suffering of aging, sickness, and death. As I travelled in this strange spiritual land, I searched out more paintings to learn more of this story that seemed so familiar to me. I knew that I could not escape from aging, sickness, and death. Had this prince found a way? The statues and images of the Buddha are mostly of him sitting serenely in a meditation posture, and each pagoda has lots of images, and people at the pagodas are also sitting peacefully, like the images. The prince had become an ascetic and practiced ascetic practices for 6 years. He made mistakes and practiced extreme fasting. He decided this was not the way. Then he remembered meditating as a child and decided this might be the way. One night, as he sat meditating under a banyan tree, he attained enlightenment and became a Buddha. But what is enlightenment? What happened? I wanted to know. The images sit in meditative silence, and I saw people sitting in the same way. What were they doing? To learn this, I had to travel to a monastery and learn from a meditation teacher. There I was taught that on that night of his enlightenment, the Buddha developed deep concentration by being aware of his breathing, and then used that concentration to recollect his past lives. He then saw how beings are reborn again and again, experiencing happiness and suffering as a result of their good or bad actions. Lastly, he discovered the path and practice that leads to the cessation of aging, sickness, and death. The practice of right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. As I left that strange land to return home, I paid a visit to that great pagoda once again. As I walked around it, I found that I now understood the meaning and importance of the pagoda, and at one entrance I also found a message engraved on stone in the ancient language of the Buddha. What the pagoda could not say, the Buddha had said himself. Not to do evil actions, to develop what is good, to purify one's own mind. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas. I found myself in a strange land. I knew now that I had been here before.